Begin to tell you how much I have aged. Waiting for you.
Well, we are now live, so you can stop aging. This is a Google Hangout, and it's with Lashik Geek, and I am not experienced at Google Hangout, so if weird stuff happened, I'm just going to pretend I intended it. If you would like to participate in the event, you can click on the link inside of the Google event below the video. That's how you can actually talk to us. I think there's also a Q&A. Yeah. Oh, no, there isn't a Q&A box. Never mind. I lied to you guys.
They're having some issues with that stuff right now, so it's a bad time.
Okay. Yep. So feel free to hop into the room. So again, it's in the Google chat at the bottom of the video. At least I think it is. I'm trying to share it, and it's not going. Hey, Mark.
Yeah.
Can you help me with this? It won't paste in there. Oh, I know why. I'm pasting the wrong thing. All right, so let's pretend I understand technology. And I'm getting this all set. But anyway, so topic of conversation. What has been everyone's strangest travel experience? How about you, Drew? I bet you have some strange ones.
Orlando, 1988. The one and only time I've ever stayed at a Days Inn. The elevator caught fire. Yeah, that was fun. Trying to get to Disney, couldn't get out of the building because the elevator was on fire.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Mine was I was on a plane and I was headed to Vegas, and I'm sitting there and my pre-departure drinks just got poured, and then all of a sudden the left side of the plane just lifts right up. And I look out the window, and a bus had just hit us, and like stuff was falling out of the overhead. Our drinks all spilled over, and then everyone just kind of stayed properly seated and all calm, waiting to see what was going to happen. But I started packing up my stuff because once you get hit by a truck, there's no way that plane's going to take off.
Yeah.
Understandable.
And I finally got the correct link in the chat, so if you would like to join in to talk, because I can see that there are people who are also watching. If you would like to join the discussion, feel free to click on that link. I fail at Google+, so I apologize it took so long to get that working. If Mark were doing it, it would be correct.
The chat thing on the left-hand bar, the very top one, you can use that to type too.
Aha. I see that. So if you look at the top left, you can also type into the chat messages to say hi to us if you don't want to actually go on air. So let's see, who do we have here? We have Mark from the House of Miles, a celebrity sighting here. We have Drew Geek Stanton. We have Miss Cassandra, who is muted, who aged while waiting for this hangout to start, she said. We have Jeff Sauer of Jet Setter, and we have Sam Einhorn. Sam, any project right now you want to plug?
Oh, I don't know. I'm always writing for a site called Fantastic Fangirls, which is mostly comic books, but other pop culture stuff that we get real excited about and write about. Awesome. And it's fantasticfangirls.org. Thank you for letting me plug.
No problem. So that's Fantastic Fangirls, which sounds very fantastic, so check it out. All right, so what's everyone drinking? I have a comically large glass of Chardonnay from Ferrari Carano. Plug it right here. How about everyone else?
First one.
Hey, Rubiano, can you mute your phone, your mic? You're causing a lot of noise in the background.
I'm in the car. Hold on a second. This is dangerous.
That sounds really safe. You should probably get off the phone. Travel tip. First travel tip from Lashik Geek. Do not participate in Google Hangouts while operating a motor vehicle or operating a plane.
I may have done it before.
And also, if you go to the top left, except this is mirror images, so top left of the screen, there's a comment thing there, and you can find a link to Sam Einhorn's website, thefantasticfangirls.org, up there. So does anyone have any travel questions or things they want to talk about that they're interested in seeing on the blog?
Well, I mean, from the geeky point of view, I once went over to Wales and I did a Doctor Who tour of set stuff. Are you gonna do things like that on the blog? You know, just kind of like, I mean, it's travel, but it's nerdy and it's very specifically nerdy.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Someone had been suggesting I go to New Zealand, and while I like Lord of the Rings, I'm a much bigger Doctor Who fan, and I actually hadn't thought about that before, but that's actually a really good idea. And if you're interested in coming,
No problem.
I would gladly go with a friend. Yep, so for those who aren't as familiar, I used to be on Heels First with Carrie, who's still writing for it. And I highly recommend checking out Heels First. It's very fashionable and very stylish. Sophisticated travel, uncomplicated advice is the tagline. Le Chic Geek is going to be a little bit more awkward than Heels First because I'm embracing myself, and I think someone's drawing on my face or something. So thank you to whoever.
No.
I love this thing. Okay. Drew, since you're drawing on my face, what's your burning question about Le Chic Geek or travel or anything?
I actually had this thought earlier. I was flipping through the site and saw your header. The dress the caricature has the
Space
Invaders. Yes.
Yeah.
And hey, horns. No, it actually works for me. I'm good for that. Thank you, Sam.
Thanks, Sam.
Yep, no problem.
Yeah. Does that dress actually exist?
It doesn't, but I've actually been looking into options to get it screen printed. You and I have a mutual friend, Andy, who I know offered when I wanted a dress that said "Don't hassle the Hoff" on it, and he said that he could make that happen. So my guess is he would be able to make the Space Invaders dress happen too, as long as I'm okay with it being screen printed, because I'm Drew has a bow tie now. I am in love with that dress. When I saw it, I just absolutely wanted to have that Space Invaders dress.
Yes.
I just deleted your dot.
Damn.
So I just posted something about the horror stories, and we were talking about that before. If Jeff Sutter wanted to plug his blog and talk a little bit about any travel horror stories he had, I'm totally all for hearing it.
Oh, so many. I'm Jeff, by the way. I'm drinking a 2007 champagne, or sparkling, I guess, because it's from California. And most travel is a horror story if you're not careful. So I wrote about one today, and I was flying on just a lot, the Polish airline trying to get home, and the plane delayed, so it was like 6 hours in the airport, not knowing what's going on, not speaking the language, and that's just sort of a part of what we do in this game. And so, really, everything can be a horror story if you don't know what to expect or don't know how to prepare. And so you got to go through it in order to know how to get through it, or read other people's blogs and stories. So that's one of the ways that, if you haven't done this before, is understand other people's experiences. And fortunately, everybody's really willing to share their experiences, or not everybody, but a lot of people are willing to share that on their blogs. And so the more you read, the more educated you are, and the more you can handle situations. So, for example, if you're delayed, you can go to a lounge and spend some time doing that, or you can know your passenger rights. Do you get the right to meals, or do you get the right to have a hotel room and stuff like that? So, I'd say that 1 out of every 10 times I fly, something crazy happens. Maybe 1 out of every 1 out of every 5 or so, 10 to 20%. But after a while, you just start to look at it as the fun part of travel when things go weird, as long as you get to where you're going.
Yep. And by the way, Jeff Sutter takes really good photos, so I really recommend checking out his blog. And if you go to the top left, if you want to type your blog there so everyone would know who it is.
Sure.
I was just about to put Drew up with the bow tie, but it's gone. So you guys will have to get creative drawing on his face again. So, Mark, what's it like being in the House of Miles?
A lot less exciting than you'd think, I suppose. other than RP being around Randy. It's alright. I've been there for like 3 years now, and it's going. It's always busy, I suppose. It gets repetitive. I mean, it's the same FTUs and stuff, but it's fun.
Cool. And my wish was just fulfilled because Drew has a bowler hat on right now. Cool. So a question I have for the group is, I did a little experiment today by throwing up an infographic. I did some survey research. And as I put in the post, my sample size was 100, so it was basically as statistically significant as an episode of Family Feud. But what sort of interest would you guys have in data specific to the frequent flyer community and making infographics with original research? Sorry, I have to throw that up.
Thanks.
There's a question, what is the House of Miles? And as Jeff answered in the chat, the House of Miles is the company that runs Boarding Area, Freddy's, FTU, Mile Point, all that stuff. And I see Matthew Cox here. Welcome to the chat. And he's muted, so he's not responding. But so then, what's your interest in seeing things like infographics and stuff like that?
I'd love to see more of that.
Really?
Oh yeah, particularly in the introductory level of travel blogging, or just not travel blogging, but travel. Yes, I am not nearly as well traveled as most of the rest of you, but it is something of interest. So more introductory stuff, infographics, like how-tos, things like that.
Hey, I was gonna add, Gene. I would love to see more stuff on who we are as a community on the travel side. Like, what is our profile of traveler? Like the speaker just said that he doesn't, travel as much, but I'd be really curious to see what the subsection of our group looks like. So any data that pertains to that would be cool.
Okay, cool. Now, how about on the geeky side? So lately I say lately like the blogs existed more than 3 days. Today, the last 24 hours, I've been focusing on things like travel accessories and stuff like that. But I'm also really into video games, and I especially play a lot of video games in air. Do you guys have any interest in reviews of video games like that, seeing which ones work best for when you're taking off or which ones pass time better than others?
I'd like to see that.
So when Joe and I visited you in DC a couple years back, 3 years ago actually, he had never been to DC before, but he knew the layout of the city, where monuments were, how the metro worked, or location of the metro, because of Fallout 3.
Yes. Agreed.
So maybe doing video game review tie-ins to cities that we visited.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. Fallout 3 was kind of creepy for me because I was playing it and I was walking down the street and I looked at a burnt out building and I realized that was where I lived. I was like, that's my house! So hopefully that won't happen to my house anytime soon, but it was kind of cool also being able to map it out. So I haven't played the other Fallouts as much, so I don't know how accurate they are to the cities that they were in, but I don't know. I kind of want to do a Fallout tour now that you said that.
No, that would actually be really awesome.
Yeah. Welcome, Kevin from Economy and Beyond. Would you like to introduce yourself to the group?
Okay, yep. How do I use this thing?
You're right there. You're on it. I made you big.
Oh, yeah. I'm Kevin. I write for Economy Class and Beyond. It's currently 1:20-ish in the UK, so I'm pretty much awake for usual. I covered a lot of the passenger experience stuff. I've been hanging out with quite a lot of my old girl team over in Hamburg yesterday, because we've been looking at posh new seats, posh aircraft amenities, lovely stuff. So,
Very nice.
and of course that nice, very cramped Airbus A380 model with 11 seats across. 11 seats.
That should be a crime, Kevin. That should be a crime.
It is a crime. I've checked it out. It is a crime of the biggest crime in the matter.
Can you talk about your blog a little bit for everybody?
Okay. I'm not your conventional points and miles blogger. I hardly write about points and miles. I've been moving more towards passenger experience. So, for example, what's that seat going to be like? Oh, she's got wine.
Do you want some?
Sadly not. I've got to drive in about 6 hours' time. I'm back into the office again. I talk about points. I talk about a lot of passenger experience. I talk about seats. I talk about economy class seats, which not many people talk about, but someone has to. That's me. And I look all around. I look at routes and networks. So I do a essentially everything with a very big chunk of sarcasm.
Mm-hmm. Very nice. And so I will drink extra wine for you. I did a double pour in this so that you're taken care of. All right. Well, I kind of want to talk a little bit about the intersection between geeky things and video game things and travel things. Here's Bat Drew. I love it.
I'm the only one being drawn on. I just want to point that out.
And I think that's a good thing. Thank you, Sam, for continuing to keep that up.
You got it.
So I noticed some sort of parallels between travel and playing video games. So I used to really be into World of Warcraft, and I like to explore Azeroth, which was the place in which World of Warcraft was placed. And this is one of the dweebiest things I've ever admitted, but I liked to take screenshots of new areas I went to, kind of like if you go to a new country or a new city and you take like pictures. I would take screenshots to document the new place that I went to in Azeroth. And I'm also into Doctor Who, and that's travel times a million, because he's not just traveling through space, he's traveling through time, going to the beginning of the world, the end of the world. And then travel, you get to see literal, real travel, you get to see new things. So I see a lot of parallels between that and just having new experiences in the Wanderlust. So I don't know if anyone else had any thoughts on that or experiences with video games where they thought they were very similar to travel too.
Well, I don't travel a lot, but well, not as much as you do, certainly. But I recently started playing Guild Wars 2, which is another MMO like Warcraft. And you know, you get experience for entering a new area, which actually I think that's common for all MMOs. I don't know, Drew. Matt,
Yes.
tell me. Yeah. But it's sort of the idea of gaining experience as you find new places. Seems very travel-like to me.
Yeah, that makes sense.
What do you think? Whoops, wrong person. Mark, what do you think?
I think that's perfect. I didn't think about that before, but yeah, I used to play World of Warcraft. I played the first Guild Wars, and yeah, that's kind of perfect. Just taking it from the game world and just doing it yourself, I suppose. Yeah, I like that a lot.
And then Drew, since you brought it up kind of before with the Fallout 3, what do you think?
The Discovery ding for leveling was always a fun experience in WoW. I'm 5 years clean.
I wish I could say that.
I just got to 100, so.
It would be interesting to see on the blog, almost like a gamified traveling thing. Like Sam said, earning experience for places you go. People could join in, set experience levels to see if you can meet the goals, things like that.
That makes sense. And whoops, I turned off my camera. I'm trying to put a helmet on. True. I was thinking about that before in terms of when people are into the whole miles and points game, and they like trying to figure out what they can game and what they can get and how they can do things. And that's a lot like playing video games, because people try to figure out not how to beat the game, but how to beat the game in the best way, how to get the most experience, how to hit the most achievements, how to find every little Easter egg that's in the game. And I feel like for people really into travel who are like the huge frequent flyer geeks, that's something that they focus on too, just in regards to travel versus the video games.
Definitely.
I have a fun travel game story. I posted a picture of Istanbul on my Facebook feed the other day, and I had a friend who made a comment about achieving that in Civilization. So that's a game that I always loved to play, was Civilization, and because you sort of get to see things that are going on, but also get a little education. And so that's my little one. Every time I get to go to a place that has one of the things featured in that game, it's always a nice little fun thing to do.
That's really cool. That's really cool. I like that.
Has anybody played Ingress? It was.
I know people who've been obsessed with Ingress, but I haven't played it myself.
Some of my
That's
coworkers
a
play
Google
it.
game, right?
I haven't really played much of it, but I knew a bunch of people that did. And yeah, I think it was just on Android, at least for a long time.
No, I played it on my iPhone. It was on iPhone for
Is it
me
now?
also.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that was sort of like a great example of an ARG, the alternate reality game. Matt actually, I think, got me on Ingress. If he wants to unmute his mic and talk about it.
Yeah, he's not talking to us, Matt.
No. But yeah, that was cool. I don't live in a populated enough area that there were enough players. But when I think I was Seattle, Washington, I don't know. I was somewhere, and it was really cool to interact with all these other people walking around, even through my phone. That was neat.
I just sent Matt an angry message to talk about Ingress. Sorry, someone was about to talk and I interrupted.
No, it was me. You can talk over me. That's fine. So it's almost like and I don't have one, but the Nintendo DS, like the walk past people and interact with new players. Ingress was a lot like that.
Well, here's something that Cassandra might be able to also feel similarly to. So I was playing Fable 3 for a while, and when I say playing, I meant I was playing Fable 3 all the time, like non-stop, just wandering around. And it's kind of set in these like towns, and they're kind of like country-style homes. And I went to Epcot in Disney, and when I was walking around, I sort of had this weird, surreal experience because Epcot is set up so much like the towns in Fable 3 was set up that I was like, am I still playing a video game? Am I hallucinating? What's going on? Like, it was just such a weird experience for me because I never realized how similar the buildings were, and it just totally made me feel like I was going crazy. Apparently, Matt had walked away from the computer as he messaged to me, and that's why he could not talk about Ingress. So we'll just pretend that he added something substantial about that.
It is a game.
There we go.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Matt. Could you talk a little bit about your experience playing it?
Well, I haven't participated in a couple months now, but it was basically a augmented reality game is the formal term, where basically you load up the app on your smartphone or your tablet as you're going around just out and about in town, and there's two different factions in the game. You sign up for one of the two factions when you first sign up for the app, and it places like certain nodes on the map around you that you can capture for your faction. So there's a cooperative element to that. But they also have this whole like story going on in the background that was really hard to get into, and I never really totally understood it.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Now, how about more on the travel side of things? The one thing that I think I'm going to struggle with is how much geek is too much geek and how much travel is too much travel, and the sort of competing things. Like, is it too schizophrenic to be talking about topics that are just nerdy topics or geeky topics?
I must admit, I like writing content. That is just, I enjoy writing some days and keeping away from the popular headlines. So I will talk about silly things like this R2D2 787 that's going to be painted. Yes, it is a thing.
That is amazing.
That is actually amazing. But I'll also talk about stupid things like power banks, or I'll talk about stupid things like the local bus network. Or I'll talk about the annoyances of Heathrow Airport and how 40 minutes at Heathrow Airport is not a good time to queue. And then when you've got a 2-hour journey home after that. But it's about, I find writing content I enjoy really helps you project yourself to your audience.
Okay. That makes sense.
Going back to when you were on Heels first, I even liked reading someone like the Travel Accessory and the things not geared towards guys, not geared towards nerds, but I found interesting. There's the Netflix of clothing.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, Latote,
I actually have a shipment right over here.
It's like it's not geared towards me, but I find that incredibly fascinating. Just the concept of it, the business practice, things like that.
That's interesting.
Also, and from the nerdy aspect, I'm on Twitch TV all the time. I prefer watching variety streamers rather than all I'm going to play is League of Legends, all I'm going to play is StarCraft. Like, yeah, you're good for an hour or two, but the variety streamers keep it fresh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 100% agree with that. I mean, sometimes when you're in a boarding area, you're kind of... People get stuck in that they have to write just about travel. Kendra did that, and you don't. So, yes, there has to be, of course, that element, but yeah, just show who you are as a person rather than just one element of it.
Thank you. And by the way, I've been really touched by the traffic that I've been getting in the last few days. So to everybody in this chat and everybody watching and everyone who will watch this later, I sincerely appreciate and I'm sincerely touched that you guys want to write what read, right? Too much wine. You guys want to read what I'm writing because I really do enjoy talking about these geeky topics about luggage that looks like monsters and going to sleep in a tauntaun. So I really appreciate it, and I've just been on cloud 9 for the last few days because, I don't know, now I'm like tearing up a little, but I really appreciate it. And Matt just said it's easy when you write cool stuff. Thank you.
To a successful launch.
Thank you. Cheers, everybody. This is not me signing off, but I am a cheers.
I ran out.
Oh, no. Here, I'll pour some.
Cheers.
Gene, I still have that bottle of Dom in the fridge whenever you want to come by.
Oh, when can I fly to Boston? When are you free? Let me... Anyway, we'll figure that out later.
I'm on call, so I can't really pop the cork tonight, but tomorrow is actually my intern's 21st birthday.
I need to leave for Dallas, so I can't pop over to Boston. Oh, by the way, that's something, too. This Sunday at the Frequent Traveler University, Sunday morning, I think it's at 10:10. If you're going to be at the Frequent Traveler University, I will be speaking on how to maximize business travel and getting the most miles and points and EQMs out of business travel without pissing off your employer. Cool. Yeah, so Drew has a scarf on, so we can see things are... He's Flash, and he has a scarf, so apparently he doesn't run fast enough to keep warm.
It got chilly tonight in Boston.
But I like the mix of people we have in the chat discussing right now because I think they all have a geeky side. Like one thing that Jeff Sutter did that I think is really cool is he programmed his website to make this interactive map that you can like zoom in on an area and then see all of the content he wrote related to that area. I just thought it was the coolest thing ever. I still think it's the coolest thing ever.
I should update it. I haven't updated it in like 2 years.
You should. It's so cool. Because we went to you did it right before the first boarding area conference, right?
Yeah.
So about 2 years ago, we all got together, the people who write for Boarding Area, and we had a conference so that we could share ideas and talk to each other. And he showed off that map there, and I was just floored by it because it's ridiculously cool. You could just kind of use the map to go around the world and be like, I'm interested in Australia, and then you click on it. Oh, someone gave me more wine, thank you. I'm interested in Australia, and you could see everything that he wrote on Australia, so that was really cool.
Yeah, that's something that I'd like to do more, but it just takes so much time to get it done. That's the balance really. Is I like somebody was talking about infographics earlier, and that's something that I think would be really beneficial to the industry. Is just a definitive way of saying here's the best way to earn your points or to use them, or here's the guide to the programs and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But it's a lot of work to get those things done, and so. And sometimes they get lost in the shuffle compared to other posts because there's no shortage of blog posts that you can read on a given day, and so that's the tough thing we have as content creators is knowing how do we get the word out there that this is important compared to the other things we have.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. The cool thing about infographics, which I didn't realize before having done my first one, is that here I'll make myself big so everyone can see my champagne. The thing that I didn't realize before was that you can make them so that you can embed links into the graphics so that when you talk about a topic you can link to a bigger post about that. And I thought that was a great happy medium for bloggers because sometimes there's a lot of content that we're producing and in order to explain everything it's in these long blocks of text and it's sometimes hard to convey to people how important those blocks of text are to understanding things. But I think combining that with the infographics and being able to just throw a quick soundbite out there, like most travelers don't properly understand the rules regarding alcohol, which is the one I did today, for security. So then when they see that, they'll say, oh, I probably need to know these rules, click on the link and go through to the dense post about TSA rules. So I haven't mastered how to do that with infographics yet, but I think it's an opportunity that more bloggers can seize, especially ones who are more artistic than I am because I'm not artistic at all, to really take that dense information and put it in a packaged way that people can access it easier. How do I make my champagne go away? Because it's migrated from my arm to kind of my boob region, and that's a little uncomfortable. I got it.
I think there's a trash can.
I got it. Okay, cool. Anyway, so Kevin, what's your burning question?
Me? Burning question? This time of the evening? The only thing that's burning is me my dinner.
Oh, that's funny. I haven't eaten my dinner yet either because I broke my headset right before I was supposed to go on air and I had to run out to the store and get a new one. So you guys are experiencing my 7-Eleven earphones right now?
Whoa!
Yeah, fancy stuff. So 3 days existing as a blog. What has been something that has stood out to you so far, and what would you improve if you were me?
Hold on, pulling up the blog.
He's taking it seriously. That's good. That's good. It's the awkward silence. What would you improve? I'm going to call on Mark.
I'm kind of looking. I don't know. I had an input on how it was, put together and stuff. So obviously it's absolutely perfect, and I wouldn't change a thing.
And I just want to say I really appreciate not just Mark, but also Megan, Denny, Josh, Randy, Karen, Nita, everyone at the House of Miles for everything that they did to get this launch. So, did I forget anybody?
No, you were like the easiest launch too, because you did most of it, so it was all good.
That's the other fun part about blogging is if you like to tinker in things, you can tinker in widgets and the theme and everything like that. So it's a lot of fun.
We have an interesting character in chat right now.
Where is that?
Who do you think?
So Drew, what are your thoughts?
Sorry, I'm distracted by Okay.
Yar.
That is amazing. I love that.
All right. So, the very serious topic that I need to discuss right now. No.
I can't even. I can't.
I think we broke Gene. Okay. Okay.
All right. So, Drew, what do you think?
I'm flipping through the site right now, and my only concern, thought, comment is there's not enough. Get cracking.
Okay, I will.
Honestly, there's not a whole lot that I can see from a tech perspective, not even like a blogger or content creator, just from an IT point of view. It's a very well put together site, easy to navigate, good UI. I like it.
I'm gonna go to Sam for commentary since she's drawing Mew Mew.
No, I was trying to draw Mjolnir on Drew, but it didn't work.
Oh, gotcha.
I apologize for not actually contributing something of substance to this.
I think that was really something of substance. I think that was very much something of substance.
Yar.
That wasn't me. I didn't yar you.
Who yarred him?
Not guilty, Gov.
I love it. So, Sam, based on your experience blogging, what sort of things would you like to see on the website?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't blog at a place that has nearly the sort of traffic you deal with. So my main challenge has always been engaging with readers, and finding new and better ways to engage with readers. And I mean, I try to use Twitter for that, and we tried Tumblr a little bit, which works really well for the type of site we have, which is a lot of just every once in a while, ooh, a comic panel, exciting. But yeah, I mean, I think anything that can engage you with people you're reading, so it's not just, oh, I'm posting day after day after day. It's like there's also things here for us to talk to each other about, however that happens.
Yeah, that 100% applies, like, no matter what the audience is. There's a blogger, Ben, his blog is 1 Mile at a Time, and he just created a new forum because he gets so many questions all the time, so now he has a forum just for interaction and stuff on top of Twitter and on top of everything else, so it's definitely important, and he's grown huge just because of that.
Yeah.
Plus, he's a good blogger.
Yeah, I was just going to say, he's a really good blogger. Because what I find really interesting about Ben is you'll find a lot of bloggers who will link to a news story and say, this news story happened. Isn't it cool, or isn't it fun, or isn't it exciting? And I'm guilty of that too. But Ben somehow always finds a way to frame the story in a way that shows that him bringing up that story added something to the conversation about it, that it wasn't just him linking to something or getting a post up. Like, it's always substantive, and I really like that about him as a blogger.
Yeah, I think his audience really feels like they know him, and that's like he's like their friend almost, and that's really cool to accomplish.
Yeah, definitely. And everyone can see I have some wine blush going here, so. Yeah, Ben, how about other bloggers that people really like, and what do you guys like about them?
To be honest, I don't read many blogs. I tend to watch a lot of video commentary.
Then how about that?
Well, I'm a nerd, and I'm a tech guy, so I tend to watch a lot of commentary on new technologies, new nerdy crap. I may or may not have watched the new Star Wars trailer 13 times in a row.
That is awesome.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. Thanks, Sam. Yep. So mostly it comes down, for me, it comes down to short engagement. If I'm reading your blog or someone else's blog, I'm just going to roll with it. if I'm reading a blog or if I'm like catching up on a commentary, my time is usually going to be split 7 different ways anyway. So I want to find something that's short to the point, like not necessarily like, hey, look at this article, boom, done. Like, here's an article, like you said, like here's an article, here's how it relates. Okay, now I'm done.
Mhm. Yep, I think Ben is a really unique blogger in that. I know you haven't read any of Ben's stuff. I also think View from the Wing is really good at doing that too. He's a blogger who knows a lot about the industry, so he can put everything into context. So I really like that if he links to a random news article, he can say, this is why this isn't as important as people think it is, or this is why it's more important than people think it is. And that's a really great thing to add to the conversation. So, is everybody still good on drinks?
I just got my refill, so I'm good.
Yeah, Scotch isn't something that you slam back when it's a 17-year triple cask.
Yeah.
Shut up, Drew.
A lot of sense. I'm trying to get my mom to join this on the conversation side. So, Mom, if you're watching this, join the chat link. I keep linking you to, because let's get Mama Hoffman in here.
I can jump out if you want, but we're currently maxed out.
Oh, we're currently maxed out. Okay.
Yeah.
I actually have to get going soon anyway, so.
Yeah, I got to get going too, so we'll let somebody else in.
Cool.
Take care, Jeff.
Good
See you guys
seeing
later.
everybody.
I'll stick around so people can draw on me.
I always
On
draw
purpose,
on you
Jimmy.
for good information.
Ba-dum-bum.
Yeah, everyone's saying it's all full. There's room again.
Yeah, I'm going to take off. I have to take care of my dog. But have fun, everybody, and congratulations, Jean.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
I appreciate your commentary, and I appreciate your friendship.
Thank you.
Say hi to Al.
I will. Thanks,
care.
Drew. Bye.
So what I find interesting is how many people I know who are both into geeky type things and are both into that and travel. And I think there's 2 people in this chat that especially epitomize that, and that's Kevin and Mark. So I was wondering if either of you wanted to pipe in and talk about your interests and anything you see in common between the 2 things.
No, you first.
Well, oh geez, I don't know. I've always just gamed, and then I think this job actually got me pretty much into the traveling thing. But now I know a lot of streamers and stuff on Twitch, and they're always traveling for conferences and such, and that's what kind of made me excited about your blog, is because that's like you can get that new audience kind of into it. You know, they're just paying regular rates, and they don't really know travel too much, and so it's definitely a good thing. And I even very, very briefly managed an MLG team, and they would travel for competitions and stuff. And it's just, you know, I taught some of them how to get status and stuff, and they were thrilled. So, you know, they don't even know about status really. So yeah, it's a lot of it's just, I mean, your blog will help with just even introductory into it all. I mean, even in the very basics that, you know, people think is just kind of common sense. A lot of people don't even think about room upgrades and stuff. And I mean, it's just, it's all new.
And room upgrades are really great if you're sharing rooms with other people.
Yeah.
So Sam just left, but we go to cons together, and I use my status to make sure that we get suites when we go to cons. And we pay the same rate everyone else does, but we can fit 8 people in a suite. You know, at cons, you're not really trying to do luxury sleeping. Poor John, who's a friend of, it's Drew's roommate, he slept on the floor before in one of the suites, but he's had a luxurious, spacious floor to sleep on at least.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you sleep on a floor, might as well be on a suite floor.
Yeah, exactly. And when you're at a con too, when you're in I don't know, the suites and you have status and the staff is getting annoyed at all the con people, they kind of, you come in and they're like, oh, you're a diamond, let me take care of you and let me help you, and they're less irritated at the fact that they have to work with you.
Right.
Or at least they're less visibly irritated.
Yeah.
Mark, you brought up that you work with a bunch of Twitch streamers. I do as well, actually, and that was something that didn't even occur to me until you mentioned it, was to point them towards Gene's blog, other than just the obvious pitching the blog, but like, hey, go check it out because you use this all the time.
Yeah.
My friend, like, two of my friends who are very major Twitch streamers, one lives in Seattle, one lives in London, and they're just bouncing all over the place for PAX and Insomnia and so like they're all over the place all the time.
And hopefully TwitchCon, so I can meet him soon.
Yeah. Are you going to TwitchCon?
Yeah.
Nice.
And hopefully Gene.
I might be going. This is awkward to bring up on here. I have to find out if my husband wants to go to his high school reunion or not. So if he's not going, I'm in. I have a ticket. Don't tell him I bought a ticket without asking. No, he doesn't care. But yeah, I might be going. But
if you don't use that ticket, I know people who want it.
Okay, I want it too, for the record. No, okay, I'll let you know. But yeah, Mark brings up an interesting point, and it reminded me of something that I'm also interested in writing for the blog too. As an example, a couple of years ago, I went to Dragon Con with Sam and two friends of mine, and well, you weren't in our room.
No.
You were there. You were there. Okay, and with Drew, who wasn't in our room, he was there. And we decided to go pretty last minute. And Dragon Con is basically this huge geek / nerd / whatever you want to call it convention in Atlanta. And Atlanta has a lot of hotels thanks to the Olympics, but when Dragon Con comes into town, they fill up fast. Like, it is hard to get a room, and a lot of people have to stay on the outskirts of town. But when we did this, I was able to use my status to get us a room last minute in the center of everything, just in the middle, and it wasn't ridiculously expensive. It was more than what you would normally pay for a rack rate, but when you're splitting it 4 ways, it doesn't matter as much. But it was just cool that we were able to last minute decide to go to the conference. So that's one way that this whole game can help with that. But the other is just knowing what's there and knowing how to get to Atlanta, what's good in Atlanta, what do you do in Atlanta, what's fun in Atlanta, how do you travel to Atlanta, what airlines should you take to Atlanta, like all of these things that go into traveling to a con.
Yeah.
And we have a celebrity sighting here, wait. Here's Mark's wife, Tiffany. Do you want to say anything about the intersection between travel and being a geek and going to cons and stuff like that? That's our current thread of conversation right now.
Well, you enjoy the conversation. I don't think I can add to it.
Well, all right. If we look over here, there's a nice dress form made out of duct tape for some costume or another.
Duct tape's always a good thing.
We lost Drew's picture.
I'm still here.
But we can't draw on you anymore. Anyway, would you guys find stuff like that useful, or do you think that the people you know would find things like that useful, and what else could I add to that to make things like going to conventions easier?
Convention 101, for example, would be a little great thing, for example. So,
What 101?
Oh, a Convention 101. Going to your first con. What do I need to take? What do you need to bring? That sort of thing. Start at the beginning.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah, I didn't think of it that way.
Because sometimes I go to a con in Chicago twice a year, and only because I've been going to that event twice a year do I know what to bring, how long I need to be there, when do I need to arrive, what transit options are available. And whilst con info pages can be useful, unless you're actually doing it for the first time, you don't know how to approach it.
Mm-hmm.
So, for
That
example,
makes sense.
I did Hamburg this week, and I didn't know how long it would take to get from Hamburg Airport to my hotel in downtown Hamburg. 30 minutes is the answer. Is that information anyway, though? You have to go and find out yourself. So by doing a bit of pre-research for readers, maybe you can get more content that way.
Mm-hmm.
And introducing Master Chief to the hangout.
Check this out. We don't have to draw on him anymore. It's permanently affixed to his face. I love it. Whoops.
I do some cosplay as well, and I cosplayed as Master Chief at PAX East last year.
Oh, can you talk about the cosplay that you did with Tanya?
Which one?
The Portal.
Portal?
Oh, yes. So, my girlfriend Tanya, we went to the Army-Navy store and picked up an orange jumpsuit. She already had an Aperture... Hey, Andy. She already had an Aperture Science tank. And a friend of mine who's a prop designer in LA made the boots, the long fall boots with the metal spring across the back and the whole bit. And I picked up the Portal gun from ThinkGeek. So she went as Shell that year. It was pretty great.
Awesome. And welcome to the chat, Andrew, or Andy as people call him, but he doesn't have his cam on for some reason.
That's because I don't have a webcam on my desktop, sadly. I know, gasp.
Gasp. Well, if anybody has seen me tweeting, defend Andy, this is the Andy that I'm advocating defending, which is a long-running joke for, 4 years now?
Oh gosh, at least.
At least 4 years. So at PAX East, people were blaming everything on this guy, Andy. PAX East is the Penny Arcade Expo. It's a web comic, and they have regional cons. So I've gone to almost every East one. This year was the first time I missed it. And Andy was at it, and I just saw all these people tweeting and blaming things on Andy. So I ran a campaign to defend Andy, even though I had no idea who he was. And it turned out, oops, here.
Defend Andy.
My hashtag. Move it
Yes,
a little further
the button.
back.
The button.
Zoom in. Yeah, there we go. So hashtag defend Andy is my hashtag. I didn't know there were buttons made. Why wasn't I sent one? That's my intellectual property.
I have a bag of
Drew
them.
has a
I help.
So yeah, these are other things you need to know about cons. You could go to one and someone can blame everything on you, but don't worry. Let me know and I will defend you.
Gene, the ever-great defender.
If I remember correctly, Gene, you didn't even know who he was until
No, I had no idea.
We were at the airport bar drinking cucumber martinis, and I was telling you about this. And that's when you just randomly tweeted "Defend Andy," which started the whole thing.
I was offended on his behalf, even though I had no idea who he was. And I decided that a huge atrocity was happening, and I needed to do something about it. Because, like the WMATA says, if you see something, say something. So I said something.
Indeed. And you came to my rescue, Gene. I appreciate that.
No problem. And apparently there's con-specific buttons made about it now, so
we've got to make sure you get some of those. I can't believe that that's a major oversight. I don't know how we missed that.
It's only because she wasn't at PAX. I have a handful for her.
That's because I didn't get tickets. Let's do this. Couldn't get in time. Let's do this.
And as a matter of fact, Gene, I'm booting up my work laptop so that I can be super cool and have a webcam.
Okay, cool. That would be super cool. So Andy was telling me, 4 years ago about his interest in getting into travel. So how has that worked out for you?
That's actually an interesting point. So I'm actually about to embark upon 3 straight weeks of work travel, finally. I've been clamoring for work-related travel for years, and actually this is good news, taking a new role. So same company, same team, but basically working on much larger contracts, and I'm about to do a week of training down in Atlanta. I heard you talking about Atlanta before. And then 2 weeks straight up in Toronto, so that'll be fun.
When are you going to be in Atlanta?
I leave on... Oh, you have a crown on your head. That was interesting.
The princess with my wine glass.
All hail the queen. No, so I leave on Sunday, and I'll be there for a whole week.
I get there on the 29th.
No.
Wah, wah.
Wah, wah.
The perpetual problem of travelers.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, Drew is used to me texting him and being like, BTW, I'm in Boston, where are you?
Yeah, no, it's like, hey, it's 3:30. Are you off work yet? It's like, no.
Get sushi. No. When can we get sushi? Soon.
3 hours.
We will still be now. Later.
All right, I'm going to try to transfer over here, so bear with me, guys. This is my first Google Hangout experience.
This
Bit
is
of a
my
noob.
second. So I'm more
First time
experienced
for
than you.
everything someone said.
So Kevin, how often do you travel to the United States to go to conventions?
I do twice a year. I don't do your traditional Comic-Con conventions. I have other conventions to go to. That's polite line to use. Others, isn't it? Yeah. So I do transatlantic travel twice a year, minimum. I normally do photography at events. So what happens is, you see these photo studios they bring with you to events. Everything crams down. This is why I travel so much luggage. Everything crams down into a ski bag and a suitcase, and I travel twice a year. This is what got me into the frequent flying thing, and it's netted me a bucket load of points. And occasionally a bit of status, which proved very useful for the past few days. So, it was a good way to meet people that I've met in the past, and it's a great way to get around. Ah, hello.
And here is Andy. Don't blame him. Defend him.
Please, hashtag defend.
Hashtag defend Andy.
As I plug in my laptop. There we are. Sorry, I'm riding the struggle bus today, guys. I guess I'm a little bit behind on the whole technology game.
I think you're less behind on the technology game and a little behind on... No, a lot of behind on the drinking game.
Well, what? I mean...
Okay.
What do you got there, Andy?
So this is... I know, I'm really upset. I wanted to make an old-fashioned, but I realized that I ate the only orange that I had yesterday. So, sadly, I don't have the orange today.
I was going to make you old-fashioned, but I ate it.
There's a meme right there.
Wait, screenshot, wait.
Wait, what are we screenshotting this?
Yeah, I just took a screenshot of you. Wait. Keep that pose. There we go. Creating meme. Please wait.
Wow.
I don't know what's happening.
You're becoming a meme.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
No, you're done. I just needed to screenshot you.
Okay.
We're cool, though. We're cool.
Gotcha.
What you do your hands in your own time is your own business.
No, I was totally going for the Anchorman reference. I don't know where you're...
I thought this chat was going downhill when Drew had horns on his head, but I think this is...
Sorry. I'd like to lower the tone just a fair bit. There's something like gutter talk? No, we do sub ether. We do sewer talk. It's easier.
Oh, Gene, by the way, I meant to apologize for being late to your hangout. I got a little bit wrapped up in eating dinner and watching Archer. So.
Archer is a good excuse.
I figured you would approve.
Yes, I do.
I'm catching up on the recent season, so.
Cool. So.
It's totes hilarious.
As far as Archer goes,
Speaking of travel,
I don't know if this is a good or bad thing, but my husband swears that I am Lana in the flesh.
Lana.
Yes.
Lana.
Mhm. Lana.
Lana!
Danger zone.
Cheers to that.
Anybody else watch Archer?
I do. Has anybody watched Daredevil yet? And is it any good?
Oh, I've seen the first 2 episodes. Those are amazing. My roommates just finished watching this season, which is why I had to close the door and come hide in my room. I'm really looking forward to finishing it. From what I've seen so far, it's amazing.
Awesome.
And Sam was just watching it, and she's very particular when it comes to, in a good way, when it comes to how people translate this sort of thing into TV and movies. And I know she was worried about making it into a full-on TV show versus a movie, especially when there are so many failed attempts in the past, but she seemed fairly positive on it. And if I'm wrong, I know she'll let me know later.
If I remember from her tweets correctly, she was mostly positive.
So we have Susan in here from Southern Travel Girl. Hi.
Carolina Travel Girl.
Carolina Travel Girl. General reason.
That's okay.
Did you want to talk about your blog at all?
Not a whole lot. It's sort of in a transitionary stage right now because of some issues. So it's coming along.
Okay.
Tired. I'm tired. So I just thought I'd pop in and say hello before I went to bed because I have to be up for an early flight in the morning.
You have a really early morning flight. Where are you headed to again?
Dallas.
FTU. Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah, I'll see you. I'll be there Saturday.
Yeah.
Because I remembered you messaged me, but I've been running all over the place. I just got back from Colorado. I don't know what I was doing there, but hi, Mark. But I've just been discombobulated, and I keep forgetting the FTU this weekend. So I'll see you there, and I'm speaking Sunday morning if you're interested in going.
Oh, yeah, okay, good.
Cool.
I have intel that there might be some chaos, but I'm sure it'll be great.
It's always this is being recorded, right, Mark?
Oh, yeah.
But Andy, you should come to FTU sometime. Since you're looking to get into travel, I think you would really enjoy it. It's the Frequent Traveler University, and it's at different parts of the country throughout the year. Right now it's going to be in Dallas, but it's in a few days, so that's probably not enough warning for you. But it goes into... Probably not, but it goes into all of the nitty-gritty about travel and how to get deals. And
it's a great place to network.
Hey, I'm all about that. All about that. Yeah, you are the undisputed, I would say, travel champion of the people that I know. So, bring on the advice. Let it fall like rain.
I give advice freely.
Yeah, Jean earned that title, the undisputed travel champion of people I know, when I read her blog post a couple years ago of the mileage run day trip to the beach of the Bahamas and then back.
Well, do you know the full story of what happened after the fact with that?
You've told me, yes.
Okay. Well, for those who don't know, so there was a bunch of really good fares to the Caribbean all of a sudden. Basically what happens sometimes is airlines will start competing, and when they start competing on airfare, someone will drop theirs and the other airline will drop it in response to it. So in flights to the Caribbean, the airlines were dropping fares like crazy. And for me, I live in Virginia, which has beaches, but they're about a 5-hour drive because in order to get to the beaches, you have to kind of do either up and over or down and over. Like, you can't just drive straight across to the beach here. So there's nothing good to do there. So I'm looking at these fares, and they're all roughly $100 from DCA. And I was like, you know what? That's not a bad fare to the beach. And if I were to go to the beach here and go for a few days, it would be like $100 at minimum for a hotel per night. Plus, I would get UQMs, and the Caribbean's not that far from DCA. So what I decided to do was book a bunch of trips to the Caribbean where I was flying in the morning and then flying back late at night so that I could sleep in my bed. Because at that point, I lived 3/4 of a mile from the airport, so that part wasn't even a huge deal. So I was literally going to the beach in the Caribbean each day and then flying back to my house to go to sleep at night. The problem with that, what was that?
Are you serious? That's crazy and awesome all at the same time.
Yes. So it is awesome, but what I didn't consider is that when you are traveling back and forth to the Caribbean in a rapid pattern with no luggage, it starts throwing up some flags. So Kevin nodding vigorously. So I ended up getting put on a list because of all my travel to the Caribbean. So while it was awesome to be on the beach every day, and also I got upgraded. I was only a silver back then when I think I did it on US Airways, which is the lowest level of status. I got upgraded on all of the flights too. So I was drinking wine and cocktails in first class too. So it was fun when it happened.
Yeah, those were the great days of U.S. Airways, weren't they?
Yeah, that's not going to happen anymore.
Yeah.
But from then on, whenever I've traveled to the Caribbean or Mexico, I've had extreme secondary screening. So when I got my boarding pass, it would have the quad S's, which is SSS, which I tell people it's like suspicious. So they would really go through all of my luggage when I went through TSA. But it wasn't just that. When I would get to the gate, someone would go through all of my luggage. So if I had carry-on, they would open it up every single time and go through every piece of thing I had in there. So it got to the point where I had to plan out for all of the secondary screening going to the airport. So I enjoyed my time in the Caribbean, but this part made it a little, there was a tax. But the funny part is, I decided to apply for global entry when my family was applying. So my husband, Bill, and my parents applied for global entry. I did too. And we all had our interviews at the same exact time. And I warned them beforehand. I was like, I'm on the list. So when we go to the Caribbean, there's going to be problems. And if I try to get global entry, I can't imagine that it won't be easier. It'll be even worse. So I told them my global entry interview could take a really, really, really long time. So we go into the offices, and I sit down for my interview, and I ended up being in there for about 45 minutes. And my family got really worried that I didn't pass my interview, and I was getting questioned on all this stuff. The webcam broke in the office, and they couldn't take my picture, and they needed my picture to confirm I was actually there. So I had to wait 45 minutes for them to get a new camera. So, yes, no questions about my travel at all. So then about 3 months later, I go to Punta Cana with my family, with my parents and with Bill. And we go into the airport. And going to Punta Cana, I get secondary screened multiple times. Like, they're just really going through all of my stuff. And then we go to Punta Cana. We have a great time. We come back to the United States. I walk right back into the country. So, proof that the agencies don't talk to each other, I was getting secondary screened going to the Caribbean, but not back, suggesting they think I'm smuggling drugs to the Caribbean.
No, Gene, you got it all wrong. They thought you were smuggling the money back to the Caribbean. They wanted a cut.
That makes sense.
That's what's happening.
I'm just floored that every time I go to Mexico or the Caribbean, still, to this day, I get those quad S's, I get secondarily screened, I have to spend extra time worrying about it. Whenever I come back to the country, I just skip the entire line and I walk right back in.
Andy, on one of her original trips for mileage runs, she posted a picture on the blog. It's from her point of view, you see her carry-on on the beach that is full of bottles of rum, if I remember correctly, and just her legs on the sand. She had a flight 2 hours later.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's my kind of an afternoon. I hear you on that one.
My dad's a huge fan of rum cream, and they only sell it in Jamaica. So I had to go to Jamaica to get him rum cream and take it back. So I went to Jamaica, filled up my suitcase with as much rum cream because, pro tip, since rum cream isn't sold in the United States, it's actually not held to the same limits that the other alcohol from Jamaica is held to. So you can bring back more rum cream than you could bring back liquor.
Wow.
So filled a suitcase for my dad, brought it back, walked right into the country. with all my rum cream.
So, contrary to popular opinion, the rum is not all gone.
Actually, at this point, it is all gone.
You can never have too much rum. Night, Jean. I'll see you Saturday.
Have a good night. Have a good flight.
Good night.
Thanks.
So, any final thoughts or topics, anyone?
Oh, here's one, Gene. So how do you balance, so for example, the 3 weeks of travel consecutively that I'm talking about that I'm about to embark upon, I think I'm staying at I don't even know what I'm staying at in Atlanta. Unfortunately, the accommodations were dictated by where the training's going to be. And then up in Toronto, we're actually in Mississauga, which is a suburb. And unfortunately, my accommodations there are dictated by what's close to the office. So I've got status and lots of points with Hilton, and I was hoping to stay at a Hilton property. But unfortunately, I'm not. I think I'm staying at like a 4 Points Sheraton, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you balance having, differing accommodations, or in some cases, differing airlines? So for example, flying with the company, I'm trying to keep their costs down, so I'm not going to take the American Airlines flight that's $300 more expensive when I could take a Delta flight that's, not $300 more expensive. So how do you balance these competing desires of having all of your points and all your status going to one airline or one hotel chain with the just natural business need of where you're going and what you're doing?
Well, the hotel is definitely harder than the airlines because a lot of times companies like to keep people at the same hotel, so if they want to stay consistently at the same hotel, you can't really do anything about it. With the airlines, even when my choice of airline is more expensive, it's usually not actually more expensive when you break things down and when you look at the value proposition and the opportunity costs. So for example, let's say you're going to Las Vegas on a trip for work, and the Frontier flight is $100, Delta flight is $200, and the American flight is $300, and you have status with American. A lot of companies don't actually want you to fly Frontier. Frontier is low cost. It's basically like Spirit. Because if you get stuck, you really get stuck. You don't really get reaccommodated. And since you're supposed to be going for business purposes, you can totally get hosed if you go on a low-cost carrier. Like, they would rather have the guarantee that you will be at the event than fly the low-cost carrier. So right then, you cross out Frontier. So now it's Delta for $200 or American for $300. Look at it this way, too. And I make this argument to my company, and they say I'm absolutely right when I do. Checking baggage, for me, with my elite status, I can check all of the supplies that they want for work. And when you're checking bunches of supplies, it could end up being not just 1 or 2 bags. It could be 1, 2, 3 bags. So all of the bags go on me. So that can save them up to $75 each way. But even if I'm just checking 1 bag, if I have elite status with an airline and something happens with my flight, I'm almost guaranteed. Like, airlines don't actually guarantee it, but I've never had a situation where I haven't gotten to the event that I needed to get to when something's happened to my flight. So earlier I was talking about when a truck hit the plane I was in. That was to a work event. I went to the desk immediately and said, I need to get to my work event, however you can get me there. And they took me on basically a tour around the country, but they figured out how to get me to my event on time. Whereas if you don't have status with the airline, you could get rebooked 2 to 3 days out if an entire flight gets canceled. Because this was an A321, which is a huge plane, and everyone's flight got canceled, and everyone needed to be rebooked because they were all going to the same conference because it was a big conference. So you had all these people who needed to be in Vegas in the next 12 hours, and guess which one out of them made it to Vegas in 12 hours? Yeah. So between the checked baggage and guaranteeing I can make it, that gives me about 100 to 150 leeway in the price between that and another normal carrier. So I don't ever have to fly Spirit. I don't ever have to fly Frontier. But I say I have status with this airline. I can get us all of these things, and I make the case to my boss and to the finance department. And it's not bullshitting, because when you look at the opportunity cost is a huge thing. It's economics. I am the employee who will get to the event on time, and it's worth the investment to guarantee that.
Oh, that's a great point. It's a great point. So how do you choose which airline you want to sort of stick around with and get that elite status with?
For me, it was location.
Okay.
So U.S. Airways had a lot of flights out of here. I guess it's 50% location because I didn't want status on United. And when I was going for status first, it was between U.S. Airways and American. U.S. Airways had more gates. U.S. Airways had more flights. I flew out to areas like Phoenix a lot, so that really helped because that's where one of their hubs is. So I used that to determine it. But it's kind of funny because with the airlines, it's like, look at where you live. Unless it's United, then don't fly United because they're not very kind to their elites.
Friends don't let friends fly United these days.
Exactly. What do you have status with? You said Hilton?
Yeah, so what was it? Gosh, it was like 2 years ago. I was on a rotation with GE where I was out in the field, and I spent a solid 2 months living out of a Hilton hotel. So I racked up a number of points there, and so I had status, but then kind of lost it because I haven't really done much work travel since. So now that I've changed roles and it looks like I'm going to be doing some more traveling, I was kind of looking to re-up and hopefully gain some of those points and not have it scattered throughout the spectrum of properties. But I don't know. Well, it is what it is. I'll see what I can do.
It's always good actually to have more than one program, I find, because you'll find at certain times that having one program is a disadvantage if you don't have any properties at that location. So having 2 or 3 programs actually is good, provided you can balance it and spread it across appropriately.
Oh, that's a fair point. Yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah, because there isn't always, for an example, there isn't always going to be a Hilton property where I'm trying to go. It's a great point.
Precisely. So it's always good to balance. I find, so I've got Hyatt and Intercontinental on my main 2 programs. Yeah, someone has to use Intercontinental still, but having that spread gives me pretty good coverage where I need to go in the world.
Great. No, it's good advice.
You find that if you spread your program slightly, you can benefit.
That's a really good point. And then also, in this case, you don't have a choice because it's where the company is putting you. What I've done in the past, too, is, for example, when I go to Boston, there's a bunch of different properties there, and I usually want to stay at the Hyatt. So I've done 2 things. One is I've said, here's a printout of the cheapest place, and it's $79. I've chosen to stay at the Hyatt. It's $99. Because the difference between hotel status and airline status is hotel status is more for you. It's a personal benefit. It's not a business benefit. Whereas airline status is a business benefit because you can say, I can do all these things. You can't do that with hotel status. It's like, I get a bottle of wine when I check in. They're like, I don't want you to be drinking wine while you're working. So it's a personal benefit. But I'll say it's $20 more, but I would like to stay there because for me, $20 is worth the elite qualifying stay. It's worth the points that I'll get from the stay. And for them, they're like, okay, if she wants to chip in $20, whatever, just to stay there. So sometimes people think I'm ridiculous because they're like, Gina will pay extra to stay in a Hyatt. But for me, it's like, I would have to spend $120 a night, let's say, to stay in a Hyatt. And when the alternative is a Hilton at $100 and my company is covering that, I am happy to pay $20 to stay in a Hyatt instead. So I make that trade-off. The other trade-off I made sometimes, too, is when my choice is between, like when there's a conference or there's something that's really coming to town and there's a lot of people going to an event and like prices go up for hotels, I've done trade-offs where it is a sacrifice, but it still gets me the EQMs. For example, the last time I saw Drew in Boston, I stayed at the Hyatt in Boston. And my choice was really a days in based on the budget that my company had because prices that week were really high. But the way I was able to stay at the Hyatt was I did a cash and points. And I said to my company, look, it's more central, it's better. I'm willing to use my points if you'll be willing to pay the cash on the part. And they said okay to that. So we worked that out because also it ended up for them being the same amount as the days in. And for me, it was worth the points to get that EQM and to feel more rested and to have a much better stay than I would have at the days in.
Like I said earlier, never a days in again.
Oh gosh. I think the worst days in I ever stayed in was in the Boston area.
There's one in particular I've personally never stayed there. I know people who have for PAX actually, and they have all commented it's like, nope, I'd rather sleep on the sidewalk.
Mm-hmm. That might have been the one I stayed at, because that was when I was newer to the company, and I was working on a project that didn't have that big of a budget, and I was trying to save money any way I could. So I stayed at that Days Inn, and the first room I walked into, the carpet was soaking wet, like literally soaking wet. Not like, oh, it was damp. I mean, like it was sploosh, 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 sploosh. So I went to the front desk. I got a new room. I go into the room, and there are still chemicals left in the bathroom. When I say chemicals, I mean it appeared that there were certain things that might blow up a house, if you know what I mean. And then I had to go to the front desk to get a third room, where outside there was a John negotiating with someone for how much his night would cost. And I went into the room, and I cried a lot, and that's when I decided to get hotel status somewhere.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. And that wasn't something that my company told me to do, by the way. I don't want to make it sound like my company made me stay at Days Inn. That was really shady. I was trying to be like, oh, let me save them some money and be really responsible. And they've told me afterwards they would rather I be safe than financially responsible, how I was defining it at the time.
Yeah, and that's a good point, Gene. And I think, along with the, being responsible is also the, I think the realization perhaps on the part of the company that you're away from your home and your natural surroundings, so you should be comfortable. So if that means that you're more comfortable at a given hotel, then perhaps they should be willing to pay for that.
Yeah.
Let's be real here. Gene's comfortable at 35,000 feet.
I sleep very well on an airplane. I think, Kevin, you sleep well on an airplane too, right?
Depends how exhausted I am the night before. I can sleep. It is possible to sleep in an economy class seat. I have done it multiple times. God alrighty, I'd pay the price the next day.
Kevin, power to you if you can sleep in economy. I have a terrible time sleeping on an airplane.
I might take some mini bottles with me, and for reasons of law, I guess I get the stewardess to pour it for me, but yeah, I just have a couple drinks and pass out. So,
couple of drinks on the ground, get in the air, perhaps sit in the seat. Next thing you know.
Wait. Can I pause for a second, Mark? You might have just rocked my entire world. So you can bring the airplane bottles of liquor onto your plane with you and have them pour it for you, and that's like totally legit.
That's legitimate.
Somebody did
That's legitimate.
Post today.
As long as it's in a quart baggie.
Drew just said I did a post on that today. Look at him. So, here's the important thing. The stewardess is probably, stewardess, oh my god, I just lost my feminist card. The flight attendant will probably say no. What could have happened at other times for people that I may have known very well who might live in my house and be me is if you order a drink, let's say a screwdriver, and you ask to keep the can, you order one of those small bottles of Tito's, and you might have other small bottles of Tito's because you know that's what they serve, and you have them in your bag, she's not going to know which bottle of Tito's was the Tito's she sold to you. It might be the amazing bottle of Tito's that never goes dry.
You might be way more cautious than I am in that situation.
Mark's just like, bro.
I just have him lined up.
My friend, the person I'm acquainted with, might slip the MD into her laptop case and pull the other one out and put it on top. But the funny thing is that most of the small bottles of Tito's I get are from flight attendants when I order a screwdriver at 5:30 in the morning. It's usually because I want to fall back asleep. They think I mean I want to party at 5:30, and they bring me multiple bottles of Tito's. And by that, I mean 4 bottles of Tito's at 5:30 in the morning.
That's called wake-up beverage.
Exactly. And I'm like, how do I come across? And granted, I'm not doing myself any favors since I'm already down to here in that mega pour of wine that I gave myself. But most of most of the liquor that I drink in flight on other flights was technically served to me by a flight attendant just on another flight.
Ah, nice.
You can see that law degree really paid off.
Yep. Loopholes. All loopholes. But yeah, and for those who don't know, I have a law degree, and I'm barred in the state of New York. So if you're ever arrested in the state of New York, please do not call me because I don't do criminal law.
But we can call you to get bailed out in the state of New York, right, Gene?
I don't have any money. I spend it all on travel.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
I just interviewed on Tuesday with a law firm here in Boston. Hoping to hear back soon.
You know this is being broadcasted, right?
Nobody here knows who I am.
Okay. It's going to be
Specifically-
publicly available, though. It's going to be publicly
More
available.
specifically, nobody at my company knows that I'm here.
Okay.
They just happen to be a fan of Le Chic Geek.
Yeah.
Son of a bitch!
Why must you have an appeal to IT professionals? Oh.
Gene, by the way, I do like the new name.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm glad.
It's very good.
Le Chic Geek.
Like I said, I like the layout. I like the site. It's good.
I think the
Coming
biggest...
along nicely.
Oh, go right ahead. Kevin?
It's coming along nicely. Sorry, that's what I said.
Oh, thank you. I think my biggest obstacle is people who are confused by what it means, which I'm still writing about travel, but this is who I've been all along, and I'm just, I don't know. I've been in a cocoon, and now I'm a butterfly, except I'm an awkward butterfly.
That's why we have
Best analogy of the day, Gene. Best analogy of the day.
Can I also, wait, sorry, this is mirror image. Can I point this out right here?
Yeah, I noticed that the Cards Against Humanity has been there ever so, well placed right beside your head the whole time.
Yep. That's so that when people come over for drinks after church, they can see the Cards Against Humanity and be like, can we play that?
They're totally using it for profiling purposes.
Yeah, no, that's always there. Wait, the side. This is so weird. It's a mirror image, so I'm also, I don't look like myself right now because my beauty mark is on the wrong side. It's my doppelganger.
Yeah, is this like a Bizarro Gene that we're actually talking to right now?
Yeah, it's weird because my bedroom is not over there. It's freaking me out.
Where am I? I don't know what's happening.
If Bill comes out with short hair, we'll know it is Bizarro World.
If Bill comes out of that room, I will be very confused because Bill hasn't been home in a very long time. He's in Texas right now, so I'm going to see him at the Frequent Traveler University, which is another positive travel that when emergencies happen, you can still see each other. Made the conversation get grim, so I'm going to draw on Drew's face.
Wait, how do you do the draw thing? That's a thing?
You have to, you go to the left of the screen, and you click on Drew's picture, and you draw on him.
And now
All
this
right.
is where the night gets weird.
Oh,
I was just gonna say,
Night's been
I
weird.
have to go now. My lovely wife that you just met made some sushi, and I have to eat it before it gets all weird.
I'll be there
She's
in
saying
5.
now it's bad.
Mark, I'll be
So-
there in 5.
All right, see you here.
All right, this is probably a good stopping point because I was intending it to not go over an hour and a half anyway. So thank you for everyone who joined during this. Thank you for the conversational people, and thank you for the people who are watching, and thank you for the people who will watch in the future. And I sincerely appreciate everyone who's reading the blog right now because I'm floored by how many people have been reading it. So thank you so much.
Our pleasure.
Yeah, and make this a regular thing.
Cool. Yeah, are you guys interested in a regular hangout?
Yeah,
Sure.
I'm down for
Why
it.
not?
Okay, cool. Let's do this because it's
Is-
happy hour.
Gene, as
Yeah,
long as
nobody
we're
turns
not
down happy hour.
hashtag blaming Andy, I'm game.
Hashtag defending Andy. Never,
That's right.
ever did hashtag blame Andy in my life.
I do have to point out that Massachusetts blue laws prevent happy hour.
Sorry,
really?
I mean festive hour.
Yeah.
It does. So you can't advertise
There's a-
any sort
there's
of
a-
discount or anything like that.
Wow.
There's a very, very good cocktail bar I go to that between 4 and 6 hour, it's half off on house ramen, free Wi-Fi, but the cocktails are at normal price.
Hmm. It's like in New York. New York still has blue laws before noon on Sunday. So places.
I know. I found that out for my 30th. I couldn't get a cocktail on Sunday.
Yep. So what some places do is, since you're not allowed to sell alcohol, if you buy a meal, you get a drink included with your meal.
Hmm.
For free. It's not selling. Loopholes. This is why people shouldn't hate lawyers. Let that be the closing advice. Do not hate lawyers because they figure out how to get you a drink at 9 a.m. on a Sunday in New York.
There you are.
Hashtag boom.
Hashtag boom. Yes, we
All
have
right,
a
everyone.
conversion to defend Andy.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's keep this going. Let's get people watching, hanging out. I'll come up with more predetermined topics next time, maybe, and maybe I'll drink less wine, and maybe I'll drink more wine. But this was fun for me. I hope it was fun for you. So let's do this again soon.
Absolutely. And next time I'll
Bye,
watch as much
Tiffany.
Archer.
Tiff. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.